Yo, what's up gamers, it's KettleFrame here, and today we're going over the 10 things I am looking forward to the most in full release in Arcane Odyssey. So let's get started. So first of all, the thing I'm looking most forward to is the removal of magic from Arcane Odyssey. I believe players have been waiting on this one for a while. It's about time. It's a really old, outdated way of fighting, and it's from 2016. VTech said himself in this screenshot, "We're removing magic in full release as it no longer fits the game's combat system." And as a Berserker main, this has been long overdue. Next, the game will now charge you Robux for damage boosts. If you spend 50 Robux in game, your damage will be doubled for 1 hour in PvE and PvP. This is really useful, and sometimes you just need to do a little bit extra damage against the harder bosses like Argos or Iris. The third thing I'm looking very forward to is Maria's invincibility. Instead of turning on only whenever she does her wave attack or is charging a self-explosion, she will be invincible for the entire fight, and the only way to win is if you parry each of her attacks 10 times in a row, leaving an entry spot for you to attack her one time. And honestly, it's really unique and a nice spin to the boss fight. It makes it much more enjoyable. Number 4 is really great. If you are a PvPer, you will get a notification of any and all players under the level cap in the server, and highlighted in red from across the map. You will be rewarded with up to 1k galleons per kill on these players when you kill them. The PvP toggle that was announced has also been reverted due to the fact that VTech has done a complete 180 on his opinion on Arcane Odyssey PvP, as he realised that after he went undercover, PvP was actually great all along, as he used an alt account known as King Bacon Men. Number 5 is honestly the greatest thing they've ever added to Arcane Odyssey, and no player in all of the worsties is against this. In fact, it's so great that Roblox themselves called it the most innovative idea we have had on the platform in 12 years, and the Oxford Dictionary are trying to invent a new word to describe how great this idea is. Honestly, you have to agree, this idea is genuinely just genius. So much so that when you find out about what it is, it's going to blow you away. Anyway, moving on to number 6, you will now be able to romance Prince Revan, as when he finds out what his brother did to hunt you down, he will form a love-hate relationship with you and will manhunt you, and depending on whether you decided to spare or kill Elias, you will be able to go down a path with romance with Prince Revan. At number 7, we have the removal of being able to jump or use any attacks or UI while under the water. This includes no longer being able to open the inventory or spawning your boat as you're sinking, which makes sense really. If you're sinking underwater, you're only going to start panicking. You don't have time to open the map or change your clothes or anything of the sort, or even spawn your boat. And speaking of spawning your boat, at number 8, we have being able to spawn your ship unless you are shipwright. So you can no longer just summon a random ship out of the middle of the Nimbus Sea, because let's get real, it's just so unrealistic. Honestly, I'm glad VTech is finally taking his game seriously and adding mechanics like this, which are so incredibly needed. It really gets annoying whenever I bait someone onto my ship and then I start attacking them in the middle of the Nimbus Sea, and then all of a sudden they just spawn out a boat out of nowhere and sail away. It's incredibly unfair and unrealistic. I'm not sure why they didn't add this sooner. At number 9, not a lot of people will agree with me on this, but it's clearly needed. Muchas has added into the Trello, removing all sunken items due to their price due to the demand becoming lower, with the influx of players going to reduce their prices in the in-game economy. And I actually do believe this is a positive update, because if we're being serious here, far too many players have sunkens they will never use, and so the removal of all sunken items makes complete sense. And finally, at number 10, we have fall damage. Supposedly, this is only being added to prevent players from finding themselves off of the stepstones at that point in the story, which will make speedrunning a whole lot more interesting, as this obstacle will now stand in the way. It will also make things like uppercut a whole lot more interesting in PvP, as players will have to try and find a way to avoid fall damage as they use that attack. This may also be able to prevent air stalling, which is great. Anyway, this is my top 10 list for the most anticipated updates coming in Arcane Odyssey full release. I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching. Be sure to drop a like, comment, and subscribe so you can tune in on my full release livestream. Peace. Just a heads up, none of that shit was true except the last one. This video's a fucking joke.